If we think about, and I don't think Facebook is something great, but if your goal is to create a change in the culture or create a lot of money, Facebook had one idea for 100 people at Harvard, right? Actually, there's two ideas. Idea number one, you don't have a date. Idea number two, people are talking about you behind your back. You want to hear what they're saying? That's it. That's all Facebook is. And then 15 years of hard work.
So where did the creative ideas come from? Because like at the beginning of this, like you spoke about the muse.
Right.
The muse that will come up with that idea. And I have found that, sometimes like I might be on the beach or like I might be out somewhere, something will pop into my mind that will change everything, right? And we're not talking about that right now, are we? That's something different, isn't it? Or is it similar? I don't know.
So the great Cory Doctorow, science fiction author, taught me last week, talent is just a skill we didn't realize we were practicing.
Talent is good.
What happened when that idea popped into your head is it was one of a parade of 1,000 ideas. But one of your filters highlighted it for you. And you didn't hear the other ones, but they were there. Good ideas are simply the iterative process of effort. And you might not be noticing the bad ideas, but they are definitely there.
I can confirm that, by the way. It's hard to get the good ideas though. And I think to that point, it does. So just to confirm, so people that ship creative work consistently will have the good ideas pop into their mind because of the work that they're shipping, and that it changes their psychology because the more they do it, the more experience they have, and the greater their context. Correct.
Absolutely correct. That flow comes from the work. The work doesn't come from flow.
So what about the Mad Men style creative ideas, right? Say, for example, if that was like your job, right? And you needed to come up with ideas that were not the same as everyone else. And that was your job, right? And I don't know, like it was like a logo design, or it was, I don't know, some story which you had to create, or it was like an ad, let's say, because this is like a marketing podcast as well. Like, how would you practice that kind of work, shipping that kind of work?
Well, the first thing is we need good taste. And to get good taste, we need to understand genre. And it means we have to have done the reading. You can't work on a logo without knowing who Paul Rand was, right? You can't work on a logo without having seen 1,000 logos. Otherwise, you're just an amateur, right? Once you understand the genre, then you can say, well, I see the terrain, and there's terrain over here that is largely unexplored. But because I understand the genre, drawing out what's on that terrain is really easy, right? It's really easy for someone who invents TV shows for a living to come up with MTV Cops. And if you come up with MTV Cops, you have Miami Vice, and suddenly you're a genius. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't very hard. The hardest part was other people had come up with Miami Vice before, but had discarded it because it felt too risky, because it felt too far afield from the junk that network TV was broadcasting. So he had the wherewithal to persistently get that show made without compromising it into just a version of Mannix, right? And so the original idea of Miami Vice took less than a minute to think up and less than half an hour to draw out. The hard work was not compromising after that in all respects, like what should be on the soundtrack, and what should be the color scheme, and why is it like this, and who is it for, and what do I say to the critic who doesn't get the joke, right? But those things are all executions on an insight that comes from a deep understanding of genre. Now, it is possible to just get lucky and show up with your thing out of the blue, but those people tend to be one-hit wonders because they don't have the discipline to keep doing that work with passion. And so the problem I have, other than the moral problem, with people who hustle is they're building their whole thing on the slimmest of ideas with almost no execution behind it. They lose interest after a few weeks. And that's not how you build something great. If we think about, and I don't think Facebook is something great, but if your goal is to create a change in the culture or create a lot of money, Facebook had one idea for 100 people at Harvard, right? Actually, there's two ideas. Idea number one, you don't have a date. Idea number two, people are talking about you behind your back. You want to hear what they're saying? That's it. That's all Facebook is. And then 15 years of hard work.